In that period, especially early 70s, and like you say, you have a very distinctive way of playing the guitar, and the bands that were around at that time. Were you kind of aware of what was going on, where hard rock was going, where that music was going?
I was aware of Led Zeppelin and all that stuff. I was aware of the distortion, and I was aware of that the distortions, when that came out, when Black Sabbath introduced that down distortion guitar, when that was became present, I did it myself. I realized that that was the ultimate way of expressing anything. The combination of how you can deal with just pressing one tone and hit. It's a combination lock. You can bend it, you can do a vibrato, you can hit it once, you can hit it twice, you can stop hitting it, you wait for a while, you can start again. Right. I mean, it's endless, and that was for me based on the question. What was the question?
Well, kind of if you were aware of the music that was coming out.
Yeah, because I used that, that was the metal music that is still today metal.
Right.
and I used it as a screen. So of course I was aware, because I used it as a screen to put my the art of lead guitar playing with pure self-expression on it.
But in a sense, could you predict that it was going to be as big as it got?
Well, when I started playing, I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to enjoy playing my guitar. Right. That was my number one priority. I never noticed when people cheated me. I never noticed anything. I was music. I was playing music, and believe me, lots of people, if I look back, they just took anything they wanted, But sometimes people say, didn't you worry that you maybe earn no money and you sit on the street and stuff like? No. It was just not important. I had everything, my needs were the only thing that needed to be taken care of. I had no luxury thoughts. It was only needs. Right. I needed roof over the head. I always had that, food and the guitar, of course. And, it was, I think, deep inside myself, I knew exactly who I was, but there was no doubt about it, that it was just, I loved the whole thing. I loved to go to hospitals, picking up mattresses, building a studio, a rehearsal room. I loved to go to my dad's wood place, pick up wood to create a division wall with my drummer. I loved to actually design the Scorpions logo and put it on the furniture truck. They kept basically the same logo. I enjoyed all of that. I enjoyed sitting in a bus singing Beatles songs on the way to the concert. Man, it was like now, it was like the now. It was so enjoyable that you didn't think of any crisis or you couldn't have this or couldn't have, everything was always there. And when I went to join UFO, I couldn't speak English, but that was good. It was all music only.
Right. Well, I find it interesting because I read somewhere that you wrote an autobiography and then destroyed it. Threw it
because
away.
I realized then, because I had this idea that if I was able to write a book without holding back at all, that I would be very, very, like almost had it. I said like a key halfway to paradise, and somehow something I felt that if I can do that fearlessly, that something would happen, and I did. And the thing is, because I did it from my heart, as if I was really going to do it, because I was going to release it. I was going to release it until when it was written, said like, what if my neighbors, past my mum, and people probably, if you're that honest, to every, they eat you probably with and so somehow I was given warnings, not to do it, but it was like, you don't release the mission complete, destroy. You have done your part. Right. It's almost like you're going into You know, it's like when people write diaries. They write down their thoughts, or they go in a box Catholics and tell the priest
Confession.
something. Yeah, it's almost like that. It was a therapeutic book, you know, but because of its honest approach, it had its effect and results, and so that was that.
Well, it's interesting because doing something like that is very nostalgic. You look back at all. Was there one story or one highlight that immediately stuck out for you, going back through the years and looking at what you've done?
No, it was about personal defects and stuff like that. It was more like guilt feelings, you know. Right. It was more about making an elephant out of a mouse, because once you talk about it, it's nothing.
Right.
You see what I mean? But you're stuck in a place where the mouse is an elephant, and it happens to many people. But you have to go through the process to realize that it was nothing.
Right. So if we, because we definitely don't have time to go through everything. So if we move to maybe a year ago, because you've written so many pieces of music. Once it came time to write for Resurrection.
Pardon?
Once it came time for writing for Resurrection for the new album.
Yeah.
Did you have a vision of what you wanted, what kind of music you wanted?
Basically, it's, you know, I am who I am. I don't think about, I don't think what I want to do, I just do, and that is it. I take from within the infinite spring of creativity, and that's where I'm home. I've been doing it for so many years, you know, and that's where I go.
In that sense, do you need a mood or a mindset?
No.
Or can it be any time?
Nothing at all. Okay. It is just simply, you know, I play and discover, and some people may think when they play, oh, they will remember this part. You know, I've done it many times. I tried to remember. It never turned out again the same. It never gave me the same thing. But you have to capture it on cassette. You know, because half a year later you listen to it, and you know, it goes like, you go like, wow, that's it. You know, and it inspires you to write the next parts. You know, and that's how I do it. It's just like something that came out of nowhere. At some point, you capture it, you put it on hold, and you use it when it's time.
And obviously, a lot of your vocalists are back. Four of them are on this record. What made you? Because obviously that's from Michael Schenker Fest. But what made you decide then to go and make an album using that kind of dynamic?
Step by step, you know. It's just like everything else that I did that happened because of something that happened before, you know. And so if you go like Temple of Rock. We did, you know, with Francis and Herman and Doogie and Wayne Findlay. We were offered a gig in a tour in Japan with Graham Bonnet as a support band and singing a song with us. We agreed to that, and that must have kind of clicked something in me. And when I announced, you know, after 4 years of touring, 2 live DVD CDs, 2 studio albums with Temple of Rock, I decided to you know, we just released a live DVD at that point, Spirit on a Mission, and I said, you know, like we need to have a break. We cannot keep going and round and round and round. You know, it's just sometimes you need a little break, get a bit of distance, so it's kind of being wanted more again later, or you know. But we need to have a little break, and so the live DVD will keep the fans, you know, going. And so everybody went their own ways and did something else. And so I went like, you know what, this is like, I'm in celebration time, definitely, since 2008, when all of a sudden I wanted to be on stage. I was always stage fright. I never really could deal with stage, but 2008, I wanted to be on stage. And I took that as a sign.
That's interesting, because what changed? What?
Well, in the first, it's three stages in my life. The first stage was when I made my musical contribution to the world that impacted many generations. I never knew that until much later. I never intended to do anything. It unconsciously was created. Kirk Hammett says, "Get out of here." Honestly, I did not focus on anything like that. And especially when Lights Out, in '76, I was 21 years old, became a hit. I ran away. because now it became serious. Now people expect it, now it became a must, etc., etc. But Pete persuaded me to come back. 2 months later, I came back and carried on with Obsession and Strangers in the Night. But you know, that was when I was 23 years old in '78, and then did the Strangers in the Night, left UFO. Then Scorpions asked me to help them out with Love Drive, which I did. And then they didn't want to let me go because it worked out so well, and I opened the doors for America for them. And so I really had to struggle myself away from them. And I wanted, you know, had my own vision. I wanted to you know, at 23, I had experience how it is like on top, you know, and I'm very grateful for that, because it's versus like a situation you have to make such a decision, as I'll tell you in a second, without having experienced that. It may be much harder because you might think you missed something. So I was there, I could look at it and say, this is not necessarily what I want. It is not really that attractive to me. I think I'm more happy and satisfied with focusing on music, experimenting with music, looking at life and dealing with life and learn from life, etc., etc. So that was my middle years, and they were the most rewarding years, and they made that change in me, you know. And then all of a sudden, 2008, I wanted to be on stage. So I took that as a sign. So I had a record company in acoustic for 10 years. It's actually a cable company, but they're also releasing CDs. But I was secure there. I felt good. I was with one leg in a loop again, but not quite yet, you know. So from 90 to 2005, I was in Arizona building a recording studio and was completely out. Then nobody knew what was going on with Michael. But 2008, that feeling came, and I took that as a sign that it was time for me to at least put one leg in it. And then, you know, now that eventually I signed with Nuclear Blast, that was my last attempt, and they had to kind of approach me over and over before I finally gave in and said, okay, I'll do it. But I'm glad that I did.